My friends, life is not always about doing big things. Sometimes it's about doing simple things beautifully. We live in a world where people are constantly chasing success, chasing recognition, chasing speed. But the truth is, happiness doesn't come from chasing. It comes from practicing a few simple things daily that align your mind, your heart, and your soul with peace. Let me share a small story with you. One morning, I met a young man who looked very frustrated. He said, "Sir, I'm doing everything to make my life better, working harder, waking earlier, pushing more, yet I feel empty inside." I smiled and said, "Maybe, my friend, you're doing everything except the simple things that truly matter. Because you see, complexity impresses the mind, but simplicity touches the soul. And when your soul feels touched, you don't need external motivation. You become inspired from within." So today, let's take a few minutes together to reflect on 10 simple things, not extraordinary, not expensive, not difficult, just simple practices that can turn an ordinary day into a meaningful one and a restless heart into a peaceful one. Are you ready? Let's begin this inner journey. Every morning, before the world wakes up and noise fills the air, there lies a sacred moment, a quiet invitation to connect with the rhythm of life itself. In that stillness, before you touch your phone, before your mind races through tasks, there's a tiny window of grace that can change the entire course of your day. The practice of gratitude. You see, gratitude is not something reserved for grand occasions or victories. It's a way of seeing, a way of living, a way of acknowledging that even in the simplest moments, life is giving us gifts we often overlook. Most people open their eyes and instantly open their problems. But wise ones open their eyes and first open their hearts. When you wake up with gratitude, something magical happens. You don't start your day chasing what you don't have. You started cherishing what you already do. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that everything you complained about yesterday was still yours. Your breath, your body, your loved ones, your opportunities. How powerful that shift would be. Gratitude doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you're choosing to look at life with the eyes of appreciation instead of expectation. It turns an ordinary morning into a miracle. Let's take a small example. Think of your daily cup of tea or coffee. It seems so normal, right? But pause for a moment and reflect. The farmer who planted those leaves, the hands that harvested them, the people who packaged them, transported them, the one who made it for you. So many lives were involved just to give you this small comfort every morning. Yet, how often do we drink it in a rush, without even realizing the story behind each sip? Gratitude allows you to see the invisible blessings behind the visible routines. In my travels, I once met a man who had very little, no luxurious house, no car, not even a steady job. But he had one habit that made him rich in spirit. Every morning, he would sit quietly and say aloud 3 things he was grateful for. One morning I asked him, "You have so little. What makes you so grateful?" He smiled and said, "Sir, when I open my eyes and I can see the sunrise, I already have more than those who take it for granted." That line stayed with me forever. Gratitude doesn't add things to your life. It multiplies the meaning of what you already have. Most of us live waiting for big reasons to be thankful. A promotion, a relationship, a dream fulfilled. But gratitude is most powerful when it's practiced in small moments. When you notice the gentle breeze on your face, the laughter of a child, the sound of birds, the meal on your plate, the peace in your heart, That's when gratitude becomes alive. The secret is not in what you get, but in how deeply you notice what's already there. Have you ever met someone who radiates peace no matter what happens? If you look closely, it's not because their life is perfect, it's because they've learned the art of appreciation. When you begin your day by counting your blessings, your heart starts expanding. You become calmer, kinder, more compassionate. You stop comparing and start connecting. You stop rushing and start realizing. Gratitude is like a lens that clears your inner vision. It removes the fog of complaints and lets the sunshine of peace come through. Even science supports it. People who practice gratitude regularly are happier, sleep better, and handle stress more gracefully. But beyond the science, there's something deeply spiritual about it. Gratitude brings you closer to the divine. It's your way of silently saying, "Thank you," to the one who orchestrates every breath you take. When you express gratitude, you're not just acknowledging blessings, you're acknowledging the source of those blessings. And that connection fills you with humility and grace. Try this small practice tomorrow morning. Before your feet touch the ground, whisper to yourself, "Thank you. Thank you for another sunrise. Thank you for another chance. Thank you for the people I love. Thank you for this breath." Feel that warmth inside you. That's peace being born. You'll notice that your day begins differently. Situations that used to annoy you suddenly lose their power. People who used to trigger you seem less heavy. Gratitude doesn't change the circumstances, it changes you. We live in times where it's easy to focus on what's missing. But every day, life is quietly whispering, "Look at what's already here." Gratitude is listening to that whisper. It's saying yes to life. And when you practice it daily, your perspective begins to shift. You start seeing abundance where others see lack. You start feeling joy where others feel stress. You start experiencing peace where others see chaos. A grateful heart is not blind to pain, but it refuses to be defined by it. It acknowledges difficulties, yet it keeps its gaze on the blessings. It knows that even on the toughest days, there's something to be thankful for. A lesson, a breath, a sunrise, a moment of stillness. When you make gratitude your morning ritual, you align your spirit with positivity, and the world begins to respond differently to you. So, my dear friends, before you start your day running after the world, take a moment to sit with yourself and say, "Thank you." Because gratitude is the foundation of peace, the language of the soul, and the seed of joy. The more you practice it, the more life gives you reasons to practice it again. Remember, the richest person is not the one who has the most, but the one who feels the most thankful. And when you live in gratitude, even the simplest moments of life become sacred. There is a deep beauty in silence, and even deeper wisdom in listening. In a world that constantly pushes us to speak, to express, to prove, we often forget the quiet power of simply listening. Most people listen to reply, not to understand, and that's where we lose the art of connection. Listening is not just about hearing words, it's about hearing hearts. When you truly listen to someone, without judgment, without interruption, without rushing to respond, you make them feel seen, valued, and understood. That feeling is rare and it's priceless. Think about how most of our conversations go. Someone begins to share, and before they finish, we've already formed our response in our mind. We're not really there. We're waiting for our turn to speak. But when you genuinely listen, you become fully present. You aren't trying to fix, to advise, or to correct. You're simply being there. That's what makes a listener magnetic, because when someone listens to us deeply, they become like a mirror, reflecting our emotions, allowing us to understand ourselves better. There was once a young man who came to a spiritual teacher saying, "I want to learn how to speak well. I want to influence others." The teacher smiled and said, "First, learn how to listen well, because those who listen with their heart speak with their soul." It took the young man years to understand that wisdom. You see, speaking may make you sound intelligent, but listening makes you wise. In our daily lives, we often underestimate how healing simple listening can be. Imagine a friend calling you after a long day, not looking for advice, not looking for solutions, just wanting to be heard. Most people interrupt with, "You know what I would do," or "That happened to me too." But sometimes, what people need most is not your story, but your silence. A silent nod, a gentle presence, and an open heart. When you listen like that, you offer them peace, not answers, but peace. Think about how often we miss understanding our loved ones because we don't truly listen. A child tries to tell a parent about their fears, but the parent is too busy correcting them. A partner tries to share how they feel, but instead of empathy, they receive explanation. A friend tries to express pain, but the conversation turns into comparison. Listening is not about you, it's about them. It's about giving them a sacred space where they can be honest without being afraid. One day I was sitting in a park when I saw an old man feeding birds. A young boy sat beside him and started talking about how confused he felt in life. The old man didn't interrupt. He just kept feeding the birds, nodding occasionally, smiling gently. After a while, the boy said, "You didn't say anything, but I feel lighter." The old man smiled and said, "That's because sometimes silence says what words cannot." That's the essence of listening. You don't need to fix someone's pain to ease it. Your presence itself becomes medicine. Listening is also a spiritual practice. When you listen deeply to people, to nature, even to your own heart, you connect with something divine. The wind whispers, the heart speaks, the soul nudges, but only to those who are quiet enough to listen. When you practice true listening, you become more sensitive to life itself. You start noticing the unspoken beauty, the pause between two words, the emotion behind a sigh, the gratitude hidden in a simple thank you. Many people ask, "Why should I listen more?" Because listening teaches humility. It reminds you that you don't know everything. It allows you to learn from every person, every moment. The person you disagree with might have a truth you've never seen. The child who speaks innocently might remind you of wisdom you've forgotten. Every voice has something to teach if we have the patience to listen. In a noisy world, listening becomes a form of love. When you listen, you say without words, "You matter." Your thoughts matter. Your emotions matter. That is the highest respect one human being can offer another. And that's what our world needs more of. Not louder voices, but deeper listening. So the next time someone speaks to you, try this: resist the urge to jump in, to advise, or to correct. Just breathe and listen. Feel their words, notice their tone, understand their emotion. Let them empty their heart without fear of judgment. And when they finish, pause. Sometimes that pause itself is the answer they were seeking. Even in your spiritual journey, learn to listen to life. Listen to the lessons hidden in your failures, the whisper of intuition guiding you, the silent strength behind your challenges. Life is always talking, it's just that we are too busy to hear. When you become a listener of life, you begin to flow instead of forcing. You stop reacting and start responding with awareness. You'll notice that people will begin to feel drawn to you, not because of your words, but because of the peace they feel in your presence. You'll start building deeper relationships with your friends, your family, your own soul. You'll understand that communication is not about speaking beautifully, it's about listening sincerely. So, my dear friends, practice listening more than you speak. Let your ears be the doorway to compassion. Let your silence be louder than noise. When you listen with your whole being, you invite harmony into your life. And remember, when you truly listen, you don't just hear others, you hear the voice of life itself whispering, "Thank you for slowing down enough to understand." Appreciation is one of the purest expressions of love, yet one of the rarest languages people truly speak. We live in a world where criticism is loud, but appreciation is often silent. We're quick to notice what's missing, what's wrong, or what didn't go our way. But how often do we pause to notice what someone did right, even in small ways? Appreciation doesn't just uplift the person you give it to, it transforms you. It softens the heart, melts pride, and creates invisible bridges between souls. The act of appreciating someone is like watering a flower. It helps them grow, and in the process, your own garden begins to bloom. Have you ever seen how a person's face lights up when they are genuinely appreciated? It's as though their tiredness disappears for a moment, their eyes brighten, and their energy changes. That's the power of a few heartfelt words. A small "thank you," "I admire how you did that," or "I'm grateful for your help," can shift someone's entire day. Yet, we often hold these words back, assuming people already know we value them. But appreciation unspoken is appreciation unseen. When you don't express it, it's like wrapping a gift and never giving it. I once met a woman who said, "I do so much for my family, but no one ever notices. I feel invisible." And you know what's sad? She wasn't looking for grand rewards. She just wanted acknowledgement. Sometimes people don't need our money, gifts, or time. They just need to be seen, to be told, "I see your effort," and it means something. You'd be surprised how much strength people draw from simple appreciation. It's not about flattery or sugar-coated compliments. It's about genuine recognition of effort, heart, and intention. Think about your own day. How often do you notice the small things? The person who smiled at you, the coworker who stayed late to help, the friend who checked in on you, even when they were tired, the parent who quietly supports you without saying a word. We often assume these gestures are normal, but nothing about love, care, or kindness is ordinary. When you start appreciating small acts, you train your heart to see beauty everywhere. And when you start seeing beauty, life itself feels more beautiful. There's a story of a man who always found faults in his wife's cooking. Every day, he would say something was too salty, too bland, too spicy. One day, his wife passed away suddenly. As he sat alone at the dining table, eating the food she had once cooked, he wept uncontrollably. It was never about the taste, it was about the presence, the love behind every meal. Appreciation delayed is often appreciation lost forever. Don't wait for moments of absence to realize someone's worth. Speak it while they're still near. Appreciation is not only for people, it's for life itself. When you begin to appreciate the day, the sun, the air, the chance to live, even ordinary routines begin to sparkle. Have you ever stood outside after rain and smelled the freshness in the air? That's life inviting you to say, "Thank you." When you notice small blessings, life begins to multiply them. The more grateful you are, the more grace seems to flow toward you. It's as if the universe says, this person is paying attention. Let me give them more to smile about. But appreciation must come from the heart. Don't do it for return, don't do it for image, and don't do it for validation. Appreciate without expecting anything back. True appreciation is a selfless act, a silent prayer of thankfulness to the Creator expressed through kindness to His creation. When you appreciate others sincerely, you are acknowledging the divine energy within them. That's why appreciation is such a spiritual act. It reminds you that every person you meet is a reflection of something sacred. In workplaces, homes, and relationships, lack of appreciation creates distance. People start feeling unvalued, unnoticed, unimportant, but a few kind words can change the entire energy. Imagine a boss who tells an employee, "I noticed the extra effort you put in. Thank you." Imagine a husband who tells his wife, "I may not say it enough, but I appreciate everything you do." Imagine a friend who says, "You've been there for me, and I don't take it for granted." These are not small words, they are emotional oxygen. They give people the courage to keep going, to keep giving, to keep believing. And appreciation has a beautiful ripple effect. When you start practicing it, it spreads. People around you begin to mirror it. You create a culture of gratitude instead of complaint. You start attracting more kindness because your heart becomes magnetic with positivity. Even your own mindset changes. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with this?" you begin asking, "What's good in this?" And that one shift makes life so much lighter. Sometimes, the most powerful form of appreciation is silent, through your actions. When you listen attentively, when you help without being asked, when you respect someone's time, when you care genuinely, that too is appreciation. It's your way of saying, "You matter," without even using words. Life becomes harmonious when appreciation becomes a way of living, not just a momentary gesture. So every day, before you end your day, ask yourself, whom did I appreciate today? It could be your mother, your friend, your colleague, or even the stranger who held the door for you. Say it, text it, write it, just express it. And if you can't find someone, appreciate life itself. Appreciate that you had another day to breathe, to grow, to love, to learn. Because life too deserves your gratitude. Remember, appreciation doesn't cost anything, but it changes everything. It's one of the simplest ways to make life richer, relationships stronger, and hearts warmer. Speak it often, mean it deeply, and give it freely. Because when you learn to appreciate without expecting anything in return, you will discover that you already have everything you need to live a beautiful, fulfilled life. Perfection has become the modern illusion, a heavy burden disguised as ambition. Everywhere we look, we're told to be flawless, perfect job, perfect relationship, perfect body, perfect plan. But in trying to be perfect, many people have forgotten how to simply be present. Life was never designed to be perfect, it was meant to be experienced. When you chase perfection, you're always somewhere in the future, fixing, improving, achieving. But when you live in the present, you start feeling life as it unfolds, moment by moment. Have you noticed how children live? They're not worried about how they look while laughing, how messy their art is, or how well they performed while playing. They live completely in the moment. They cry when they feel sad, laugh when they feel joy, and move on when it's over. They don't carry guilt from yesterday or fear for tomorrow. They are fully present. That's why children radiate joy. They haven't yet learned the art of pretending. They live life in its purest form, without the filter of perfection. But as we grow older, we begin to overthink. We start believing that unless everything is right, we can't be happy. Once I get that promotion, I'll feel good. Once people appreciate me, I'll relax. Once my life is in order, I'll be peaceful. And yet, peace never comes because life never stays in order. There's always something unfinished, uncertain, unpredictable. The truth is, peace doesn't come when life is perfect. It comes when you stop demanding perfection from it. A man once complained to his mentor, "I feel restless because my plans keep failing." The mentor smiled and said, "You're restless because you're attached to how life should go instead of accepting how life is going." That's the difference between chasing perfection and embracing presence. When you're present, you don't resist life, you flow with it. You begin to see meaning in mess, lessons in loss, and beauty even in imperfection. Think of a simple flower. It doesn't bloom to compete with another flower. It doesn't worry if its petals aren't symmetrical or if the wind bends its stem. It just opens when the time is right, faces the sun, and lives its brief moment fully. That's what it means to stay present, to open your heart to each day without demanding that it look exactly as you planned. The more you accept life as it comes, the lighter your heart becomes. One of the greatest sources of unhappiness is comparison. Constantly measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. Social media fuels this illusion. We scroll through perfect pictures, perfect smiles, perfect homes, and we start believing that everyone else has it together except us. But the truth is, everyone is fighting silent battles behind those smiles. The happiest people are not those with perfect lives, but those who have made peace with imperfection. They don't live to impress, they live to express. Try this small reflection. Think of a moment when something didn't go according to your plan. Maybe you missed an opportunity. Maybe a relationship didn't work out. Maybe something you prayed for didn't happen. But now when you look back, can you see how life guided you to something better, something more meaningful? That's the beauty of presence. It helps you trust that even when things seem broken, life is still unfolding perfectly in its own way. You begin to realize that every delay, every detour, every disappointment was part of a larger design. When you're present, you stop fighting time. You stop living in the what ifs of yesterday and the what next of tomorrow. You simply are. You enjoy the coffee without thinking of your next meeting. You listen to someone without thinking of your next response. You walk without rushing to the destination. You start noticing small details. The warmth of sunlight, the laughter of children, the rhythm of your own breath. These small moments become sacred because you are there to receive them. There's a story of a monk who was asked what enlightenment felt like. He smiled and said, "When I eat, I eat. When I walk, I walk. When I sleep, I sleep." It sounds simple, but it holds the essence of wisdom. Do one thing at a time, with your whole heart. Don't mix your meals with stress. Don't mix your conversations with distractions. And don't mix your days with regrets. When you give your full attention to what's in front of you, you start to feel an inner calm that perfection can never give. Even spiritually, being present connects you to the divine, because the divine doesn't exist in the past or future. It exists now. Every breath you take is a reminder that life is happening in this very moment. When you miss this moment, you miss life. And when you practice presence, you start seeing God not just in temples or rituals, but in simple things, in a smile, in nature, in silence, in the rhythm of daily living. Many people say, I wish I could pause life for a while. But the truth is, you don't need to pause life. You just need to pause within life. Take a breath, feel it, look around, smile at someone, appreciate where you are. That's how you live mindfully, joyfully, spiritually. So, my friends, stop trying to make every moment perfect. Instead, make every moment surreal. Don't wait for life to slow down. Slow yourself down enough to meet life. Let go of the idea that happiness is somewhere in the future. It's not there. It's here, in this breath, in this smile, in this heartbeat. Life doesn't need your perfection, it just needs your presence. And when you start living that way, you'll realize you were never supposed to chase peace. Peace was always waiting for you, right here in this very moment. A smile is one of the simplest gestures known to humanity, yet it carries the greatest power to heal, to connect, and to uplift. It costs nothing, takes only a moment, and yet its impact can last a lifetime. The beautiful thing about a genuine smile is that it doesn't need translation. It's a universal language of kindness. When you smile at someone, even a stranger, you silently say, I see you. I acknowledge you. I wish you well. In a world where people carry invisible battles behind brave faces, your simple smile can be the light that reminds them they are not alone. Have you ever noticed how we often underestimate the power of small gestures? We think to make a difference, we must do something big, start a foundation, write a book, or change the world in dramatic ways. But sometimes, the most powerful acts are the quietest ones. A smile at a tired cashier, a smile to a passerby on a gloomy day, a smile to a colleague who seems burdened. It doesn't seem like much, but to someone who feels unseen, that tiny gesture can restore faith in humanity. There was once a story about a young man who was on his way to end his life. He left a note saying, if one person smiles at me today, I won't do it. He walked through the city streets, passing hundreds of people, all rushing, all lost in their own thoughts. But no one smiled. That evening, he was found lifeless. His note became a heartbreaking reminder of how something so small could have saved a life. You see, we never truly know what someone is going through. That's why kindness should never wait for permission. A smile is more than an expression, it's energy. When you smile from your heart, you emit warmth, and that warmth has a way of circling back to you. Have you ever noticed how your own mood shifts when you smile intentionally, even when you don't feel like it? Try it. Stand before the mirror, look into your own eyes, and smile sincerely. At first, it may feel strange, but slowly you'll notice your heart softening, your energy calming. That's because the act of smiling releases peace inside you. It's a reminder that no matter how heavy life feels, there's still light within you. So many of us walk through life with serious faces, focused, stressed, guarded. We think being serious makes us look strong, but often it only builds invisible walls. When you smile, you're not showing weakness, you're showing strength. The strength to stay kind even when life is challenging. Smiling at others doesn't mean your own life is perfect. It means you've chosen to stay positive in spite of imperfections. That choice makes you powerful because it means your heart is bigger than your circumstances. In daily life, we cross paths with hundreds of people. The janitor who quietly keeps your environment clean, the delivery person rushing through the heat, the security guard standing all day, the neighbor who passes you in the hallway. How often do we acknowledge them with a simple smile? Most of us don't even make eye contact. But when you do, something shifts, both in them and in you. They feel respected and you feel connected. That's how community begins, not through big speeches, but through small human moments of warmth. There's a story I once heard about a monk who walked through a village every morning with a bright smile on his face. People would ask, "Why do you smile all the time?" He said, "Because every person I meet is carrying a burden I cannot see. If my smile can make that burden lighter, even for a moment, then I have served my purpose today." That's the essence of living a meaningful life. Not by waiting for opportunities to help, but by creating them through simple gestures. Sometimes we withhold our smile thinking, "Why should I smile first?" But remember, someone has to start the chain of kindness. Why not you? You may not know it, but your smile could inspire another, who then passes it to someone else. That ripple can spread beyond your imagination. You might start the day of a stranger on a positive note, or help a colleague feel valued, or make a friend feel seen. And all it takes is one small curve on your face. Even spiritually, smiling is a form of gratitude. When you smile at life, you're silently telling the universe, "Thank you for giving me this moment." Even if everything isn't perfect, even if there's pain, you're acknowledging that life is still a gift. It's easy to smile when everything goes your way, but it's divine to smile when nothing does. That kind of smile comes not from the lips, but from the soul. It's the smile of surrender, trust, and peace. When you make it a practice to smile more, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. Life will start smiling back at you. People will treat you differently. Opportunities will open more easily, and most importantly, you'll feel lighter inside. Because when you smile, you shift your energy. You stop carrying the weight of worry and begin radiating the light of faith. That's when you realize you don't smile because life is beautiful. Life becomes beautiful because you smile. So, my dear friends, smile often. Smile at the sunrise, smile at the stranger, smile at yourself. Don't wait for perfect moments to smile. Let your smile create perfect moments. In your busy schedule, let your smile be your form of service. For someone somewhere, it may be the only sign of hope they see that day. And for your own heart, it will be a reminder that joy isn't something to be found. It's something you choose, something you share, and something that grows every time you let it shine through your smile. The sixth simple thing everyone must practice in life is gratitude. It's a small word, yet it holds the power to transform an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. Gratitude is not just about saying thank you when something good happens. It's about cultivating a mindset that sees the blessing even when things don't go as planned. It's about training the heart to focus on what's there instead of lamenting what's missing. Many of us spend so much of our lives waiting for big miracles while overlooking the small daily gifts that make our life beautiful. The sunlight that wakes us, the breath that flows effortlessly, the meal on our table, the people who stand by us silently, and the strength that carries us through every challenge. Gratitude turns these simple moments into sacred experiences. Imagine you wake up one morning and everything you took for granted the day before is gone. Your bed, your roof, your breakfast, your family, your health. Only then would you realize how rich you actually were. Gratitude is about realizing this before you lose it. Life is uncertain, fragile, unpredictable. And in the middle of this fragile life, gratitude becomes the anchor that keeps us grounded. It's like an invisible shield that protects us from negativity and hopelessness. When we focus on what we have our energy expands. When we focus on what we lack, our peace contracts. I once met a young man who lost his job unexpectedly. For months, he struggled to find another one, growing restless and bitter. Every day felt like a burden. But one evening, while walking in the park, he met an old friend who was paralyzed from the waist down, yet wore the brightest smile. When he asked his friend how he managed to stay so cheerful, the man said, "Because I still have eyes to see the sky and ears to hear the laughter of my children. I may not walk, but I still live." That's more than enough to be grateful for. That single moment shifted the young man's perspective. Gratitude didn't change his situation instantly, but it changed him. And once he changed, life slowly began to change too. When we learn to count our blessings, our heart begins to overflow with contentment. We start to see beauty in places where we once saw nothing. A simple cup of tea becomes a reason to smile. A kind word from a stranger becomes a gift, and even a failure becomes a teacher. Gratitude turns every situation into a lesson and every moment into an opportunity. The truth is, happiness doesn't come from getting more, it comes from appreciating what we already have. A person who has less but is grateful lives in abundance, while a person who has more but is ungrateful lives in poverty of the spirit. Gratitude also has the power to heal relationships. How often do we take the people we love for granted? Our parents, friends, partners. They do so much, yet we often notice only what they don't do. A small thank you, a heartfelt smile, a gentle word of appreciation, these cost nothing, but they build invisible bridges of love. Try it once. The next time someone helps you, no matter how small the act, look into their eyes and genuinely say, "I really appreciate you." You'll notice the warmth it creates instantly. That warmth is the energy of gratitude. In life's busiest days, gratitude reminds us to pause, to breathe, to look around and say, "This moment is enough." We often wait for perfect moments to be thankful. When we get the job, the house, the recognition. But true gratitude begins when we start thanking life, even in the imperfect seasons. When something doesn't work out, instead of saying, "Why me?" try saying, "What can I learn from this?" That simple shift in words turns pain into purpose. Gratitude doesn't deny pain. It gives pain a meaning. It says, "Yes, this hurts, but I still have the strength to face it. I still have something left to be thankful for." Even science today confirms what spirituality has taught for centuries. Grateful people sleep better, stress less, and live longer. But beyond the science lies a deeper truth. Gratitude connects us with the divine. When we express gratitude, we acknowledge that there is a higher force guiding our life. It humbles the ego, reminding us that not everything we have is our doing. The air we breathe, the food we eat, the love we receive, all are gifts from that divine source, given freely and constantly. When we recognize that, our heart naturally bows in reverence. Gratitude becomes prayer, not spoken through words, but through the way we live. So, let's practice this every day. When you wake up, instead of reaching for your phone, whisper a silent thank you for the gift of a new day. When you eat, feel grateful for the hands that made it possible, from the farmer to the cook. When you face challenges, remind yourself that every test carries a hidden blessing. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a lifestyle, a lens through which you view the world. And when you wear that lens, life becomes richer, softer, and more peaceful. If there's one simple thing that can shift your life completely, it is this: be grateful now. Not when everything is perfect, not when you have it all figured out, but now, in this imperfect, beautiful, unpredictable moment. Because when gratitude becomes your default state, you stop chasing happiness. You start living it,